Hi, thank you so much for joining us once again for Ready for Happiness Live. My name is Kathy Brandon. I am your happiness chick. And thank you so much for joining us today for another episode. We have a great guest on today. For those of you guys who are coming back, thank you so much for your support. And we hope that we are inspiring you to step out there in your unique happiness. For those of you guys who have just joined us, we have been around about 2 years. And our job for you is to introduce you to people who have created a unique way of being happy in this world. And they've done that so well that they are inspired to help other people create a unique way of being happy in this world. So we are here to introduce, make the connection, and give you access. So welcome, and we're glad you're here. So we have Fiona Fine. She is an author. She is an incredible lady. Hi, Fiona.
Hello. Hi.
How are you doing?
Doing great. We finally got a great day in Toronto, Canada.
Isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome? Now, you said that you're doing some work in Toronto. Now, I know that's not where you live.
Yes, we're based out of Toronto. I'm based out of Toronto. And actually right now I'm north of Toronto in what is affectionately called the Muskokas, which is the high-end cottage area. I'm hanging out by the lake. I went for my first swim yesterday.
Nice, nice. I was wondering, I had them backwards, so, okay, cool, cool, cool. Okay, so let's talk about you a little bit. We're going to talk about your book in just a minute, but let's reel it back. You know, what we want to know about is we want to know about you. We want to know about where are you from? Where were you born? Have you been in Canada your whole life? You know, take us up to now.
Okay. You know, it's kind of funny because I think I feel very, very blessed. I had what I'm going to affectionately call a charmed childhood. Until the age of 17, I'm not saying it wasn't without its childhood issues, and I was a bit of a shy child, but my parents are well educated. They love each other. They're bright, and, you know, I spent most of my youth, my young age, initially reading books. And then when I hit high school, I caught the more of the school bug, and I followed my dad into engineering. So he's a civil engineer, and I followed my dad into engineering. And until 17, life was pretty much perfect. I skied, I had friends, I really wasn't, you know, into any kind of trouble or anything. And then I had my first car accident just as I was entering university, and that really changed my life and sort of set it up for what I would call a little bit more of the pain than the pleasure part of things. But made it through that, studied and had trained as an engineer. I went into engineering. So I take it for granted after now 30 years that I know how the male mind works, because I've spent my whole life in a male world. First it was engineering, then it was IT, and then ultimately, through 2 more car accidents, I ended up in corporate recruiting. So, you know, over the course of time, I think a lot of my life has been unfortunately defined by pain as much as what it is now, which is the pleasure side of things. So it's been quite a journey. It's been very much a learning journey, and figuring out what works for me and what is joy and happiness. So I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, and it's funny because, you know, we've come a long way with the interaction and the collaboration and the living with men and women, and so being in male-dominated industries, I have too, so I share that with you. You know, it's interesting being the only girl on the team of, you know, 20 people. You know, you get outside your work and you're like, okay, who in my circle can I really talk about these things with? Right, because all your girlfriends, they don't really want to talk about that stuff. So,
and I didn't really have girlfriends. I mean, I think of all my best friends are male, pretty much. It's only maybe in the last 7 years since I sort of flipped my life around and said, okay, I'm going to stop, quote, playing with men and in a man's world and being almost a man. I mean, if you think about it, when, you know, we're close to similar in age, we grew up wearing as close to their clothes in corporate life as possible, big padded shoulder jackets and things like that. And I never really lived in my femininity because I was just always like hard driving, goal oriented, and that's not necessarily making a juicy, happy life. But I made a lot of money.
Right, right. I understand that now. Tell me about, you said you were successful in that life,
Yeah.
right? But it wasn't juicy happy. Now, let's talk about that, right? Because juicy happy is my favorite topic.
Yes.
I'm gonna be
Yeah.
selfish now, but yeah, right? Now,
Yeah.
what made that transition for you? Like, what occurred in your life? Because you spend your days now helping people create that juicy happy inside so many different things. We'll talk about that in a minute. I know I'm teasing you guys who are watching the show, and I'm doing that on purpose. But what occurred for you to make this happen? Where was that moment that you were like, really, like this is all
Yeah,
good
life
fun?
sucks. Yeah. So 3 car accidents, 2 major concussions, a whole bunch of. I'm gonna go on record that a lot of it might have been mind-body induced, but a lot of what I would call like female low libido type issues in a relationship that I was in. And it was, I mean, I was in corporate life as I explain it. It was stressful. I was making money. I was miserable. I was making everybody around me miserable. And I happened to escape for a week to one of my favorite massage yoga places, which is Kripalu. And it was there that I just broke down on a massage table and went, this is not life. I don't want this. And that was the cracking open of, the hard shell that had built around me to say, I have to make changes. So I got, quote, successfully unhitched in my 10-year relationship that I really was miserable in. I started dating, and that was a huge opening for me. I gave myself permission to have a lot of fun, and that's how one of the platforms came about. I started to get healthy. I mean, it's all mind-body connection, and I finally started to realize that I could not let my ego mind drive my life. I had to connect to my soul. And I mean, this sounds normal to other people, but I did not know you could not buy health. It just wasn't something that I could understand. I've been trying to. So it was back in about 2007 that I just started to take my life and sort of 1 degree every day, just crank it a little differently. And, in 180 days, you're facing a whole different direction. And in 360 days, you've done a 360, and I was heading in a different direction. And I have to say now, I am a pit bull about it. I will not go back. I will let a relationship go. I will let a job go. I will let, all sorts of things go, because when I started to feel the joy and the happiness, and I made the decision that I love guys. I really do. I mean, I find them so simple to deal with and delightful for me because I grew up with them. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to play with women. I wanted to start giving women a voice and a platform so that, like what you're doing, Kathy, so that we are helping each other to have the permission to live our best lives.
Yeah, it's you said something there that I wanna pull it out of there. You say that a lot of people think it's normal to come out and be in touch with your femininity or be in touch with who you are. And the longer I do this show and the longer I stand out here peddling the happy, I find
peddling the happy,
right? Oh, yeah, we were peddling. I always tell people, I said, we were peddling happy before Coca-Cola started popping out the cans of happy. So we've been in the happy game a while. But, I don't think it's normal for people to come out and know this information. I think it's an expectation that we have for ourselves that we should know this. Like we're given all these options and somehow, boop, we're supposed to know. And, I think the way that you did it is how a lot of people do it.
The hard way.
Yeah. I mean, they go after this model, right? Like we're taught. And nobody's at fault. It's just, we have all these inputs. Yeah. And so we come up with this formula of happy.
Yeah.
And, we push to get that. And then
we have the weird success definitions.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And so, I love the fact that you're giving women specifically now in your life. Like I can't imagine the men's lives you've changed, right? By just allowing them to come in with you, right?
We're helping women be happier. So when a woman is happy, the whole world is blessed, right?
Oh, you
Yeah.
better believe it. Well, and one of the problems that I find, and when you work with men, be careful, women. I'm not, I am one, so I can talk about my kind. Um, women have changed the world a lot right now, and so, women aren't the only ones that need permission to be women. I'm finding that because I work with a lot of men, um, I've been in male-dominated industries as well, and as men and women integrate, I find that all women are learning how to give themselves permission to be women, but they're also having to give men permission to be a man.
To be a man. And that's a lost art also.
Yes,
They
right?
don't go through a rite of passage anymore. They don't have puberty.
Oh,
They don't have baby making, and they don't have menopause.
yeah.
I wouldn't want to be a man often.
Well, right. And so, working with men, that's probably why you were so successful in those industries, like, I allowed men to just be men. I had boundaries and all that, women and men working
I
together.
slap them around, but yeah.
Yeah, right? Exactly. I didn't tell them they couldn't be men. I just told them how to respond
Yeah.
around, right? Like, and so I find that to be interesting work too, because you're bringing this insight about men into the lives of women. Now, tell us about your work, right? Because you have your book, and then let's talk about that at the end, because you're building a community. And that's what I want to showcase, right? Because your book is a way to kind of, if we don't want to like dive right in and get married to you or anything, join your community, we can read the book, get transformed, beautiful, lovely stuff. But talk to us about this movement, right? That's the core. And then
Well, how it came about was I was having so much fun in dating, literally. And I had been running a coaching practice that was primarily career coaching. And yet I kept, when I was sending primarily guys, but also women, out to interviews, I'd say, it's kind of like going on a first date. You wouldn't say that, your mom's an alcoholic and your dad's in prison. And
right. Don't talk about your exes.
that's not a first good date conversation to have. So, and I was having so much fun in dating, and I was dating multiple men, and I was really upfront about it. But I had started to tap into that sass and that, let's enjoy the process of going back into the dating world. And so that was the first platform that I started doing coaching on and working with women so that they weren't having that goal of like, where is he? Where's the one? But how do I enjoy the process? How do I enjoy myself? How do I learn about myself? So that platform is how to put the fun back into dating.com. As that started to ramp up, I had come from like what I'll call corporate and entrepreneurial endeavors, and I wanted a larger voice. And I still wanted to give women a voice and a platform. So I founded womenwhorunit.com, and that is for the women leaders of all walks of life. So between these two platforms, we're sort of tying into the major pieces that women need to be able to become integrated and happy and what I call put their own oxygen mask on first. Because we're so used to nurturing other people that we often forget about ourselves. We forget what's going to give us our best life. So these two platforms are ongoing. They're digital magazines. Are you okay? We get to have a lot of experts on and things like that. So they're talking to women, and the book, as we move into that, the book came about more from my particular background and what we started to talk and how the name of the book came about and things like that. So, but it's growing communities of women who are supporting and occasionally sort of going, you got to look at that. That's not going to get you happy and healthy and juicy and joy. So, if there's a common denominator in all your relationships and they're sucking, what's the common denominator? You. Let's look at you. Let's see what we can do to bring your level up. A 10 is attracted to a 10. So.
Right. See, I'm really excited about your work. There's so many people out there that are trying to help people find a mate. They're trying to help people find find, 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 find. And I get the beautiful, you know, I like a treasure hunt too. And, you know, God forbid, get me on a little happy little scavenger hunt. And I am, woo, excited, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, life is not a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's about, it's an experience,
Yeah.
right? And so, you know, I like the fact that you're teaching people how to, in these transition times, it's not about, like, you're in a transition, right? You get divorced or whatever, you know, you're widowed and you go through a transition, you find yourself single. It's not about finding, it's not about transition. It's about the experience.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a real big distinction that I see that you're playing in the lives of women, and you played in the lives of men, right? Up to this point. You just did it in a corporate setting, right?
Yeah, more corporate, and then I moved into the dating, and you know, men are so happy when they're faced with a happy woman. I mean, they really do want to cherish us. They want to adore us. They want to satisfy us. Half the time, we're self-sabotaging ourselves, myself included. I couldn't communicate what that was, and I wasn't willing to, you know, put my own life under a microscope to say, this is really what works, so that he could give it to me. I call it queen rules, but he can't treat me like a queen until I know what works for me realistically. So it's been fun to just marry men and women in their experiences and their joy. So.
You know, how fun is that? They get to truly, you know, you're bringing joy into the, like, you know, we talk about in the happiness realm over here, we talk about the 3 stages of happy, right? You have ready, you have implement, and then you have sustain, right? Yes. Joy is the real game everybody's trying to get to. We just go happy to get to joy. It sounds to me like you're bringing joy into the implementation game so that they can truly experience that quicker, faster, but without, like, you know, because some people date and they feel a little bit of joy and then they're like married. And
well, yeah, they quite often
supposed to do that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they bail on themselves, and we as women quite often we think that by, quote, getting the man, maybe, we forget that we have to really build that foundation so that he can do his job to cherish and adore us and satisfy us, right, with 100% accountability from each person. We can't point fingers, because then there's 3 fingers pointing back at me. If I'm wagging my finger at you, then there's three times looking at me that something's not working. Mm-hmm. So it's being able to give the tools and the practicum and as much fun as possible so that we're enjoying the process. Guys want happy women. I mean, I hear this all the time going, wow, it's refreshing to hear that, you know, nobody's blaming, yet we can all up our game for
right,
ourselves as well as our partners.
See, that is such exciting work. And to work in the dating realm, like, I know you hear some stories. I know that back in my 30s, I was single for a while, and I made myself go on 50 dates.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it was funny stuff, like stories that I have. Like, even the stuff that I did that was just kind of like,
what was I thinking?
Oh, right? Yeah. I mean, just funny stuff. Like, we don't know how to date, you know, because we're not taught how to date. And so it's really exciting to be able to create that space. Now, talk to us about your book a little bit more. Tell us where you can get your book. I'm kind of going a little backwards. For everybody who is still watching the show, what I want you to know is at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to give you access. Okay, and so the way that we do access, we do it in 3 ways. We know that you want to access our one-on-one for those of you guys who want one-to-one access. We know that some of you guys want to access in a group, so we're going to give that access. And then the 3rd way is we're going to talk about the book. But I want to talk about the book first because we haven't really given that enough, and we have an extra special something for the book. So tell us about the book. Tell us where we can get the book first.
Okay, well, the name of the book is called Bitch. BITCH in capital letters. Which stands for is Babe in Total Control of Herself. So the acronym really came from in my corporate world and how the world is still using the little b word to describe aggressive women or assertive women. The fun, the play came from taking a disempowering word, the little b word, and turning it into an empowering word of, yes, I am a babe in total control of herself. Right. And so the whole subtitle is Stop Chasing Men, Start Choosing Love. And it is the way to get it, and we've been able to put it in a digital format for everybody, is to go literally to www.babeintotalcontrolofherself.com. And funnily enough, I get as many guys going, oh my God, I want to read your book, as I do women, partly because it is a little different. It's coming heavily from my mindset, which is introducing the male mind to women and how we can really get together and make happier lives. So www.babeintotalcontrolofherself.com is where you can get is where everybody can get a free digital copy of the book.
Nice, nice. Now tell us how we can, tell us where you're going to be. Are you going to be speaking? Are you going to be on the radio? I know we're going to have a watch party next Tuesday, everybody, at 10 a.m. Central Time. We're going to have a watch party. Go to www.readyforhappiness.com and you'll be able to see this video. But tell us where else you're going to be over the summer.
You know what? I'm doing a lot of radio, and I love this because I am I'm very picky about how I spend my time, and so the fact that I can talk to you and still be up in gorgeous Muskoka and go swimming and sea doing and everything, that's my idea of life, and as I said, I don't like to default. But I am interviewing with Dr. Diana Wiley on her Love, Lust, and Laughter show with PRN. So there's a bunch of radio shows. We're always doing our social media. My social media is always up to date as to where I'm going to be and how to find me. And my Twitter handle is @Fiona_fine. If somebody wants to email me for one-to-one support, the best is to make sure that my team keeps me in line. So that would be support@goddessconnections.com. So Goddess Connections being the company that's running all of this, me and the publications. But @Fiona_fine, that's where actually we've got some interesting stuff happening. We're working on what I affectionately call the bitch monologues, which is a whole bunch of different things, but you know, crazy things men say and think they're going to get laid. That's a fun thing for us.
Oh yeah, right? That's awesome.
Don't say this. So right. babeintotalcontrolofherself.com is where they can get the book.
Okay, good, good, good. Now, you gave us your social media, so that is definitely, I want to tell everybody who is watching this show now or in the future, you know, social media is the way to connect to people. Yeah. It is the best way to connect. And I do want to tell you that Twitter is a great way to connect to people. You know, most of the people that you feel are unreachable are reachable through Twitter. Send them a direct message. She gave you hers. It's Fiona_fine. That's about as easy as it comes. FIONA_fine. FINE. You can Google her. I've Googled her. She's the top 2 pages when you Google her name, so you can find her. She's easy to locate. And get the book. Get it for you, even if you're married, because it's going to give you insight. And one thing that I do know is, you know, if we follow the rules when we're married, that we follow when we're dating, a lot of marital problems go away. I'm just going to say that out loud, you know, as somebody who has done it
always
wrong.
We need to be courted all the time. That's how it's sustainable.
Yeah.
And we have to treat our men like kings also.
Well, oh, that's a whole different topic. Yeah, you just gave me some juicy business for another topic. But, yeah, I want to talk about that with you. I think that's a very good topic. I want to tempt everybody's taste buds for that. We want to talk about men being kings and women being queens. It's all in the book. Look on the website. Connect with Fiona, because we need to be treating our men like kings.
Yeah.
need to take the responsibility of being the queen. And it can all be fun and goofy and exciting and juicy. And that's what Fiona's up to. So here is another person, and I'm shining her beautiful face up there, and she's gorgeous. You know, she is out there. She's created her unique way of being happy in the world. She's been in a man's world, and she came out, you know, not hating. She's not bitter. You know, look at her. She's happy. She loves men. So there it is, right? So I want you to understand. I want you to connect with her. And Fiona, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. You are awesome. And connect with Fiona, everybody. I do want to tell everybody thank you so much for being on the show. And go make
Kathy, pleasure.
Bye-bye.